This is Solus Reamer Naharan. I think I miss you. I think I miss you more and more each year. I miss your sweet Howies, your caring grandparents. I miss your neighbour's smile and the pub chats that go on for just a while. The way you make your chicken rolls. I miss laughing down the M50 saying fuck those bastard tolls. Every time we touch, I fall for you. Our culture, it defined me, but it also blinds me. A warm embrace that I must escape. I must fight to be mine, but I'll return one day, in time. Because I want you to bear my children, to nurture them, to care for them to know you as I knew you. But much like he who left for milk, I do not know when you or I will return to what we were. On my language you have failed me. There are 32 words for field, and I know none. Ach an volcagum gul gadi an lehrus, agus talk prog park dovladini. Tan soul de soliach naglock. Your elected mind matches not the grace of your body, nor the beauty of your soul. I heard the Fontaines ask you, are they paying through your nose, or are you just lying through your teeth? But either way, direct provision is a kip. Shannon's still a pit stop for bombs to kill children. There are too many blankets in doorways at Christmas, and BlackRock are buying all the family homes. I'm shocked at how you speak to homeless, how you say it's all their fault, how you take from your people and you give to glass havens in Dublin. The court said that Facebook owes you 10 billion, but you fight for them to keep it, afraid they'll find a better cheater. But goddamn, you have a wild Atlantic way about you, and every time it comes out, it touches me, for there is truly no place I'd rather be than there with you. But you put up all those stones and red flags, and now the grass is trampled and the sand is stale. 100 years ago you fought the Brits out, but now the new colonialism of currency floats your once proud Dáil na hÉireann. I love you, but disrespectfully, you can fuck off with that sort of carry-on.
In 2020, presidential elections took place in Belarus. The winning candidate was Alexander Lukashenko. He stated he started his sixth term that year. The only 3 opposition candidates were denied participation. 2 were arrested, and the other one had to flee from Belarus forever. The winning candidate claimed to gain over 80% of votes, which was achieved after an illegitimate vote count by corrupt governmental authorities. That election was not fair or free and was not recognized by the Council of the European Union. That election was a fraud and a spit in each one of our faces. After the results were made public, protests started throughout the whole country. Only in Minsk, 200,000 protesters went out. Peacefully, Belarusians demanded their rights. In the first days, over 6,000 protesters were arrested. The police and special forces were violent. They attacked people with batons, rubber bullets, stun grenades, water cannons, and gas. More than 1,000 torture cases were reported to independent media. Among them, cases of rape and sexual degradation of women. Politically motivated arrests are taking place until this day, after 4 years, as the governmental security members are still assessing private data and footage of citizens. More than 300,000 Belarusians had to flee their homes since 2020, and they cannot come back. 2024 is the anniversary of our illegitimate president. He celebrated 30 years in power, the only president we've ever had since our declaration of independence. Next year is the next election. We will gather together again. You are the person whom I love. You're the body whose tender spots I know with my eyes blinded. You're the scent that triggers forgotten memories. You're the sound that makes my heart sink deep, painfully with joy. You're my home, and you're poisoned, dangerous to love. You're corrupt, seduced by devil, committed filicide. You drowned us all, your children. We knew that way forever will you leave abyss in our souls, forever stranded to find true love, happiness, empathy, understanding, destined to doubt and question our worth, our purpose, because after tasting you, nothing tastes the same. Nothing feels even like a fragment of love that we could have gotten. You don't tease anymore, you taunt us, torture us with unreachable happiness, because you taught to love you and only you. Is that why I feel lonely all the time? Because you taught me to love you. And then you rejected me, humiliated me, and beat me while knowing I would not fight back. You taught me to miss you. And then you slapped me, spat in my face. You tied a cable around my wrists and raped me, while knowing I wouldn't dare to make a sound. And then you broke my bones. Bitter, pungent weeds are now growing in the field where I used to fly my kite. From above, I glance at it one last time before I start falling, getting burned, poisoned, stung. Is this what I deserve? I knew that it would happen. That's where my fate had spawned me. Holding onto the razor rope I should have held on to longer. I should have tolerated the cutting pain longer with all my might. But I let go. Or maybe my parents did, or their parents did, or theirs, or theirs. I don't know exactly, but all I feel is the poison from the pungent weeds, and you are staring down at me, standing in the field. You knew what you were doing when throwing me that safety rope. You wanted to see me absorb the pain, feel the poison that you had already soaked in. Who threw you out here? You didn't hear one of our beseeching voices because they sounded just like your own. You used to be one of us. What happened to you? The silence is piercing my ears. Blood is coming out. Were you also beaten? Was your existence also erased? Was the sound of you ridiculed and your cry dismissed by them, who you now worship? I can feel your past through your bleary eyes. I see fire they used to comfort, bring happiness and renewal. I see fire devouring the oaks I used to climb, the birds I used to wake up to. I see fire that used to mean the sun of the night. I see fire surrounding the pond I'm bathing in. It's eating me at last. I'm breaking my lungs from the pain of my burning skin, from the horror of those burnt before me. Somebody always has to take the blame. This time, I'm blaming you, one of my kind, the person whom I love. I wanted to pray to the sun to warm up your stale muscles. I wanted to pray to the wind to refresh your musty air you're breathing. I wanted to pray to the water to cool down your burning wounds and stop your painful crying. Instead, I pray to the earth to take you soon, as you betrayed her, betrayed us, betrayed me. And then I stop, because I'm too afraid.
Як той мой голос зачує, да кто меня не пожалкует. Як зажала родна мать, иди, доню, як мой голос добровой.
care too much for morals, my family says. We raised you on a military base. Your hands are already bloody. They say this to be a comfort, yet it throws me to the sharks who swim in my head, threatening to pull me back to the black that drank me into oblivion. The last time I was there, in oblivion, I watched men fall from the wings of planes, a country crumbled, rubbled by the ones who built it. No, not the ones who built it. I saw them arrive at my hospital, a jigsaw puzzle of missing limbs. I like their robot counterparts. This new edition could see them squeeze, grasp the box of Girl Scout cookies I sold to afford them socks on front lines. It can't be the boy I sat beside in school, in church, would turn violent upon landing somewhere else. Or is that why he prayed so hard, fist to lips, saying God always forgives, saying God protects like them, death for salvation? It can't be. How can we not be angry at the injustice? But it was that anger towards injustice what put a gun in that boy's fist. I volunteered to cook meals and homes for those injured boys staying close to my hospital. Yet the soldiers were hungry for something else. Survival at the cost of someone else. This is what you have to do, my family says. You get in the machine and you spin your wheel so the system will carry you too. They say this to be a comfort. One day, they say, I can start to change the screws. One by one, day by day, so no one will notice. The machine transforming ever so slowly to something better. But the only way to change it is to get in, lest you get left behind as the ones run over by that same machine. When did we arrive to such a time that to drink or drug ourselves to oblivion feels no different from a sober present state? When we are all so disconnected from our surroundings that the things we feed on or use feel as apparitions outside space and time. When we know little of what we consume is made. When we must employ dissonance to accept the unacceptable, enough for us to carry on. Our face creams come with labels warning their contents cause cancer, yet we still slather them on our faces in pursuit of fleeting youth. For what good is the wisdom of age when we must stuff chemicals doused cotton into our privates to keep our blood off the floor? When we must eat food so manufactured it is void of its original nutrients? Was this not the point of eating? When we must ride on planes to see truth and family which pollute, and whose ever cost-cutting designs leave a legacy of loose screws and faulty programming. When we must pay landlords for molded and infested homes, when we are told we have a say, but the big players are only there to chase wealth and fame, but nothing to back those claims. Opulence outweighs morals, yet all that shines is plastic and Teflon. My lover and I stroll the halls of the British Museum, a monument to both shared and stolen history. This is the end of history, he proclaims, as we compare the care and quality of those artifacts to what would be left of today. One set of grandparents drank from cups made of clay, while the others purchased ceramics painted with poisonous lead. The latter were said to live in the more developed country. That dissonant lie led the first set of grandparents to chase after the lead of the latter, and now we are all filled with chemicals and plastics that curtail our physical fertility to match our mental fertility. No healthy minds seem to grow here. How do we reverse this process? What can sunflowers and sites of nuclear fallout say about healing and reverting? May we regain our capacities by chasing the light? The only way out seems to be to escape our dark oblivion, so we may once more grow history. I don't want to live in the dark ages. I want enlightenment. So face it, take the clouds out of your heads and see clearly again. Taste bitter truths so you can learn to taste at all again, and pluck the seeds of the sweet things and grow better fruits. We must learn to make our own things again, or at least understand how they come to be, so the blessings of knowledge that separates us from prey will stay. I was raised behind the curtain that shields the theater of war. Gunshots echo through tin cans and cardboard cutouts. Sonic boom blasts from fighter jets, somewhere between too close and too far to see. Airwaves hard enough to split an army wife's wine glass clean in half. But this is just war's training ground, nothing like the real thing. A place to return to after desert sands and blinding sun. Body parts rain from man-made clouds only in the minds of passing parents. Metal wire fences separate cookie-cutter gardens, containing competing barbecues searing flesh from animals, not people. School children in classrooms don their father's uniforms and play pretend. Flipping guns and pirouettes as cheerleaders line up to kick and jump. Why do you always talk about war? Because it was my home. A foundation built on blood money and bake sales. But if you think about it, whose land was not paid for in spilt crimson? Whose clothes were not sewn by losers of not so long ago battles? Whose defense is not dependent on bombs over which we say we have no control of, but built and held nevertheless? We are all the children of wars, somewhere between too close and too far to see.
Sigro milir kang gete sinunggo bajul kawan dosa kang jageni ing arsa miwah ing bungkur tanapi ing kanan kiri sanggete lampahnya alon. Pass my chance, time may cease to be, and as I pass my litany, silence remains. In quiet, I listen to folks bracing against the ruthless charging of time that cries tragedy. Bespoken for the narrow fishbowls we end up in every millennium. I doubt if any would ever lower their crowns. We once prayed for every martyr. Our seams never unravel until the day I mourn enough hearts strung by marionette masters who ride the waves of lives and forsake their own people. Until my head tastes the earth again, bewildered by pawns for games larger than all our lives, soul unembraced, I still remain. I recognize treading on these gentle grounds, built by gentle people, held together by bent rebars, covered in lush cotton. I will to ready myself against the many arrows made of the pieces of fancy door and guard my house. With the strength of thousands of arms I've lived thousands of years for. I make home in the land whose ancestors murdered mine, because my homeland murders my now. So I learned to remain. My highs are propelled rockets, my lows oceanic trenches, my body a trickster of a maze. My companions are loved, but fail to temper my hills into roads. Now I count the days, to counting my wrinkles, when more of them adorn my skin than my battle scars. I will fancy my decay, and build dams from all arms that have held me. In these waters, I long to remain. As meek as the ghost that haunted my childhood garden tree, I am sure he only wanted human friends. And the house messy is a place lived in, and wrinkles that nest on your face are tributes to all the laughs you had. And the worst heartache came from the deepest of human bonds. And I am as breathtaking now as I will ever be, other than the time I will be in a kafan. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. I stop apologizing for being born without emotional smokescreen. But which part of me am I ready to exploit for art again? I remain here to look into my shadows and watch them extend their hands. Come make a dance in the slendro scales with me, and marry our way into the feast of our owns. Have a mental breakdance next to the gifts we have not received but still deserve. And here I pass my hymns to someone else's torch, so that I may die another death in glorious smiles, having the last laugh.